can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, greetings out there. All across this great land and around the world, it is that time. Time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And I am your host, John Matthews, along with my buddy and partner in crime, co-host, Joe Hakos, back from vacation. And we're glad to have him back here. Having said that, how are you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm good, John. Glad to be back. Glad to be warm again, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't so sure whether, I kept referring to where you were at as the Rust Belt, but I'm not so sure. Maybe it was more like the freezer zone. I don't know. What was the weather like out there?
It was cold. It was, I say anything under 70s cold anyway, but, the 30-degree weather, barely making 40s is just nuts. But anyway, it just reaffirms that I don't want to go back up north. And it is the Rust Belt, John. I don't know if you saw that post I made on Dryer Report, and the last one I did was called "A Chance," and basically, what we were given with this election was all we're given is a chance. But some of the things I saw up there, it was like Rust Belt, indeed, just blight areas, shopping malls, just pretty much abandoned and closed, strip malls abandoned and closed, family tradition, businesses that were just generations old and people would go to for generations upon generations, just out of business, done, closed up shop, gone, just crime and drug problems everywhere, ridiculous. I mean, and this is Ohio, and it's hard to believe that anybody would want to continue that with a vote for Hillary Clinton. But then again, it's just not Hillary Clinton. Hey, John Kasich, that's your state there, buddy, and that's your fault as well. So.
Oh, yeah. The guy that everybody thought from the establishment was the answer to all things. And even more noteworthy that Kasich is such a advocate of the TPP. And, let's just turn Ohio into Detroit. I guess that's his thing, Yeah,
just areas just like that, John. It's unbelievable. I mean, just to go back and see these things, it's just like, wow, this is really bad. And it's and you can understand why people voted the way they did. They finally woke up and actually said, look, these people aren't helping us, and it doesn't matter what party it is. And they're not out here helping Americans. They're more worried about everybody else but Americans.
Yeah, one curious, or not curious thing, but one thing noteworthy that I found over the last few months, every day when I'm out here researching, I never mentioned it too much in the show, but now that you talk about Kasich, I think it's worth mentioning. Kasich, I didn't know this, Kasich is a millionaire, and he became a millionaire, I guess, sometime shortly before he became governor or something, but he's I didn't know he was a millionaire, but the guy's quite wealthy. And I wonder how much of that was off the backs of Ohioans.
Well, as he was a former congressman and whatever, so because remember, he'd always say, I helped write the budget that we balanced, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, John, thanks. You want to talk to us about something you did this century, John, please? Thank you. The things you did this century, John, I went back and saw, and it's like, wow, it was eye-opening. And I took some pictures, so they're on the Dryer Report. You can go in and see them, and check it out. There's just some pictures. There's just some stark reality hitting you right in the face, beside the cold wind.
Yeah, wow. It is amazing. I know one of the things that's going on out here in California, and it's almost like a paradox, where I don't know what it is. The economy out here really is bad. It's perhaps not as bad in some places like Ohio. There's some places around here down in the Inland Valley which has really taken a big hit. But a lot of that has to do more with the housing market than jobs or something like that. But the number of malls that are still being built out here, I'm like, how many malls do you need? We have now malls within where I live at, within 5 square miles. I think we have at least 6 or 7. Major big malls. Where you could probably spend the whole day and not get through the place. And I'm like, who's spending the money? We're hearing about how bad the economy is out here, but somebody's spending money out here, and I'm not so sure, what the deal is. But I know that I'm hearing back in the Midwest and some places back on the East Coast where just what you're talking about is taking place. The places are becoming ghost towns, and then of course you go to places like Detroit, stuff like that. These places are really, really deteriorating fast. And I don't know what it is about here. I guess just because out here in California, nobody really cares about the books. They just cook the books out here every single election cycle and try to tell us what a surplus they have. But we're always voting on bonds. This election here, we had like 7 or 8 bond issues come up, and they all passed. And I'm
really?
How much more money do we need to borrow?
I find that amazing that people are willing to vote for tax increases.
Well, when you're not paying any taxes, I guess it's easy to do that, and that's what really out here in California, that's what's all about. I would estimate, I bet you, half the people in this state, we have 33 million people in California, and I bet you half of them don't pay taxes at all. Because I bet you out of that 33 million, 20 million of them aren't even here legally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to vote, and it's always about the kids. We need more money. We need more money for the kids. We need more money for the schools. We need more money for books. And the only thing that's happening is all that money keeps getting funneled into the teacher pensions out here, because that's the only way, that you work out here. Out here, you can, if you get tenured as a teacher, 10 years, you retire.
Wow.
It's just amazing, man. It's just amazing. I'm kind of
hitting the lottery.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of hoping, I'm kind of hoping we do secede from the union, because then I can justify leaving the country.
Hey, speaking of leaving the country, did you see Italy voted on staying in the EU and basically said, you know what, we're going to do like the Brits did. So there is a movement afoot. This European Union could be a couple more elections to go that way in these countries, and European Union is going to go bye-bye. Oh. So it's well past time that the United States of America get its affairs in order, because the economy over in Europe is not going to be all that wonderful, and people are going to have to come look at us here in the U.S., and it's time to play ball.
Yeah, wow. Well, given the fact I know one of the news events is taking place over last week, I haven't really spent a lot of time digging into it. I'm trying not to get too absorbed in this transition with the Trump team right now. I'm let them get their ducks in a row and do what they're going to do. And I'm not really getting caught up in it right now. I'm kind of like, everybody wants to make a big deal about the latest tweet of Donald Trump. Everything's about his tweets. And I'm kind of, now I want to see what he ends up with. I'm following it, but I'm not really digging in and want to know everything that's going on, every little detail. Because at this point, it's still, he hasn't taken office yet. So I'm not
you got to remember, some of these things, especially the cabinet level positions, have to be approved by the Senate.
Yeah. And one of the things I did notice was the mixed stories coming out of the media about how Trump is just totally screwing up his transition because of the fact that he's not. Well, again, he's not doing anything the way everybody's done it in the past, and so therefore he's screwing it up. But then I turn right around and I hear in the same day that he has put together the fastest transition since Reagan. And, in terms of who he wants and, where he wants him. Now, nobody on the left likes the choices, but this guy's not sitting around idle.
Which is good. You know what? If the left starts liking his choices, then I know Trump's doing something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, well, some of the choices I'm still contemplating in my head. There's a couple of things he's done up to this point. I guess the most evident is the Secretary of State.
Well, that's not settled yet, though.
But I just am very concerned about the idea that Romney would even be included for consideration. But
I get that. I think that might be just a big head fake there.
Yeah, it might be. It might just be some way of saying, hey, let's be buddies. But just don't have a place for you. But let's be buddies. But I voiced all last week that I had some concerns about that. Anyway, look, we got to go to our first break. We're going to have Bob Cardoso with us at the bottom of the hour. And then in the second hour, we're going to have Scott Faulkner. Interesting gentleman, worked on the transition team, actually, during the Reagan administration. I thought good to have him on. And we'll talk about the process and the transitioning and all that other good stuff. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be back in just
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
You'll get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels. And I want to get into the first topic of the day here. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I touched briefly on it last week. And it's the reason I keep bringing it up is because this is becoming, this is probably, I think, in the top of, how do I say this? Pet peeves. My list of pet peeves, this is probably in the top 3, if not number 1. I imagine if I took the time to think about it, I might have some other pet peeves that I think irritate me more. But this is certainly in the top 3. And that is what I refer to as the complicity of the Christian church here in America, or as I like to refer to it, the industrial Christian complex. And what that really boils down to is the fear and trepidation of the Christian church today to become involved in the issues that are shaping the culture in our country. And there's a couple reasons for it. But the reason it really ticks me off the most is because these people really think, these pastors and pseudo-Christians, as I refer to them, that seem to think that if they just remain complicit and silent, that nobody will pay any attention to them. And because of their complicity and their silence, they don't really watch what's going on out there in the mainstream of America, and they don't understand that they're being targeted anyway. I spoke up at a conference a couple of weeks ago, to a men's ministry conference, and that was the main thing I kept trying to drive home with these people, is that you guys think that avoiding the world means that they're not going to mess around with you. You got to understand something. The world hates you because you're a Christian. They hate you whether you're a complicit Christian or a vocal Christian, whether you're a practicing Christian or just some pseudo-intellectual that seems to think that if you acknowledge there's a God that, you're okay. It doesn't make any difference because the world that we live in is a fallen world, and it has a common enemy regardless of what nation you're from or even what religion you partake in, and that is that there is an enemy, a spiritual enemy that is envious of who you are and wants total destruction. And that would be, of course, Satan. Now, people don't like to talk about Satan because it's like talking about Darth Vader. Okay, but that's really what's going on here. And so when I mentioned to you guys last week about this couple, Chip and Joanne Gaines have a show out there called Fixer Upper on the HGTV channel, cable channel, I guess. I've never watched the channel. I don't know what they do, but I guess they're like a fixer-upper. They have a house. They go around fixing up people's houses, kind of like a reality show kind of thing. And you'll remember that there were some brothers, I guess, a couple years ago that got thrown off the HGTV show because I guess it's one of those channels that a lot of homosexuals watch. And they came out and stated their opposition to homosexual marriage and were branded as haters and were bounced off the network. Well, this couple here, this Chip and Joe, Gaines, it's a little bit different, but it so much more epitomizes the distaste in my mouth that I have for much of what Christianity tries to be these days, and that is the advocate for getting along. We're going to love everybody into the kingdom. Let's build a bridge to Jesus by condoning the activity of the homosexual community, and we'll call it love. We'll call it love. It's not love.
Yeah, okay, we're going to build a bridge to Jesus by advocating sin.
Yeah, because
it's just not going to work. It never.
No.
Come on, that's written down somewhere in some book I read somewhere. There's a really old book. I think it was the first one ever published on a printing press.
Yeah, well, certainly the old, one of the oldest books in the world, if not the oldest book.
Well, like I said, it was the first one ever published on a printing press.
Yeah. Oh, was it really? Oh,
yeah, I believe it was called the Bible.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was the first book, but that's a little bit nice little piece of trivia.
Oh, there's your Monday. There's your Monday trivia.
Anyway,
right, John, just I have to do this. Just a shout out to my little grandson Aiden. My goodness, that little kid traveled on airplanes like he'd been doing it all his life, and he's only 15 months old, and less problems with him and some adults that you'd have on brains. I'm here to tell you that little guy was rocked there. I just had to do that. Sorry.
Well, that's a rare breed. A kid that's quiet on an airplane. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just. He just. In fact, a lot of kids, the takeoffs and landings bothers them because of the pressure change, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
For crying out loud, he slept through one of the landings.
I got a kick out of on that note. I have a very dear little friend of mine, my pastor's granddaughter, his oldest granddaughter, who just got married a couple weeks ago. And she is heading back east to meet up with her new husband, who's in the Navy. He had just got out of boot camp, got leave to come and get married, and he had to go back to school. So she's joining him out there. I believe it's in North Carolina. And she's tweeting on the plane about, I guess there was a kid on the plane that was sick. And the kid, was just miserable because he was sick.
Yeah.
And, talking about, he was vomiting and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there thinking, it recalled my days in the Navy. There's nothing worse than being around somebody that's sick like that in a pressurized cabin.
Yes, yeah. And, as a flyer, you don't fly when you're sick.
No.
But, he's... a passenger on an airplane, it just doesn't think that way.
Yeah, well, in our case, most of the time, people that were flying on my crew that were sick was because they were hungover.
That's a difference.
Yeah, but still, it just gives a special feel to the air. Let me put it that way. Anyway.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that road. but he did a great job. So the little guy did fantastic, and it was just a joy to have him.
That's good.
It was fun, and it's too bad that these quote unquote people of religion, the big air quotes here. Hey, come on, you got to be kidding me! You can't get to heaven by sin. Just ain't gonna happen.
But to the bigger point here, the thing is that the news is out there. What they're trying to do, the way that it's being played in the media. Let me put it this way: is that these people are guilty of being haters by association. The fact that their pastor actually stood at the pulpit and talked about homosexuality as it's talked about in the Bible, that it's an abomination and it's a sin. And boy, the media is just going to having lunch having these guys for lunch. Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal that irritates me. I'm not going to defend these people. I'm not going to defend Chip and Joe, Anna, Gaines, because they have refused to come out and say anything one way or the other.
Yeah, so it's time to step up.
Yeah, it's like, we go to this church, and he even tweeted over the weekend, in times of trouble, you'll find us at church, and this, that, the other. But I want to read you what he tweeted out here, because this is what gets my gall. This is what makes me, this is what puts the fear in pastors all across California when they come and ask me to speak to their people. He says, regardless of our decision to make a statement about all this craziness or not, I ask that the people respect BuzzFeed reporter Kate Arthur. BuzzFeed is the one that had reported that this pastor at their church, the Antioch church, I don't know exactly the full name of the church, but it has the name Antioch in it. Let's see here. I guess I should get that accurate here. Antioch Community Church. Okay, and the pastor, Jimmy Siebert, is staunchly against same-sex marriage and a strong believer that homosexuality is a lifestyle choice and a sin and an abomination according to the writings of the Bible. Okay. And so these people, because of their show, because of their money, because of their salary or whatever it is, have chosen not to say anything one way or the other as to what their personal beliefs are. Now, I'm telling you, when people do this kind of stuff, I am not afraid to look at somebody like this. I wish I could see these people face to face. I wish I could get a hold of them. I've actually tried to contact them and just say, you know what? You guys are fakes, phonies, and you're just better off not even stepping into a church because you're doing us more damage than good. The idea, and the reason I say that, is that we're not supposed to be bridge builders for sinners. We're supposed to be bridge burners. We're supposed to be able to preach the gospel, to bring repentance, to offer the gift of salvation, and then to burn the bridges that brought you into that situation in the first place. And the idea that we have Christians now out there in the limelight that are afraid to say anything for fear of being labeled and perhaps losing their show, that to me speaks volumes as what's wrong, because that's what most pastors in this country today do. They're guilty of complicity. And if you are a pastor out there, you're listening to me right now, you know as well as I know that the Bible talks about the fact that we as shepherds will stand a stricter judgment before God. So just, you think you're saving your ass right now? All you're doing is setting yourself up for a big fall when you stand in front of the man. and these pseudo-Christians need to be called out. I do not in any way, shape, I don't care if everybody wants to talk about them being labeled. I don't care if anybody, they're being persecuted. No, they're not being persecuted because they're not taking a stand on anything. Okay, so you know what? You reap what you sow, my friends. And if your show stays on the air right now, it may for right now, but I guarantee you there's something coming down the pipe that you're going to reap, and it's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be pleasant. You'd be better off taking a stand and telling, do you believe? If you don't follow or you don't believe or you don't adhere to what your pastor's teaching, then you shouldn't be in that church to begin with. Okay, go join one of the other. Go over and join T.D. Jakes or Joel Osteen or somebody like that will just stroke your hair and tell you how great everything is. Okay? We'll just love them into the kingdom. Yeah, sure you will. All right? Anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest. That's all right. I can't tell you how much this kind of stuff irritates the hell out of me. It just does. There are a lot of things out there that bother me, but I can, at some point in time, I can just kind of stomach it. This is not one of them. Not one of them at all. So, anyway, what else do we got here now? We got about a minute and a half here before we got to go break. Oh, well, let me just close it up with this. I mentioned this, and I'll mention it again. Okay. Last week, Pew Research Center showed that roughly 1 in 5 Catholics who attend Mass at least monthly say that information on political parties and candidates was made available to them, but only 5% of white mainline Protestants who attend church monthly received anything from the church, either from the pulpit or in the mail, regarding the issues and people running for the office.
How come it doesn't surprise me?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise. It shouldn't surprise anybody but the church itself. Okay? If you're sitting in one of these churches, you need to get out of it. All right, you need to find somebody that's just a little bit more in tune with what's really going on. The purpose of the church is to reach the lost, and there's nothing more lost than a liberal. All right, and if you think that the reason you're going to church is just so God can bless you, absent your participation, you're an idiot. All right, you're just a plain idiot. You're useless. You're what we call so heavenly minded. You're of no earthly use, and you. So if all it was is about getting the blessings. When you got saved, you'd be gone. You'd be in heaven right now. God left us here for a reason, because there is a world that's dying, and it's our responsibility to shine the light. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have Bob Cardoso with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
City Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, I know what we got to do here. Boy, I was sitting here reading this article here, and I got so absorbed into it, I forgot about the fact that I'm supposed to be hooking up with Bob here. Let's get
that's Bob Cordosa there, John. Let's go. Come on now.
Yeah, let's get Bob on the line here. He's doing a simulcast right now over on his side. And so we hook up with him on Mondays and Fridays. If you're just tuning in for the first time and don't know that, and we'll see if we can get him on here. Come on, Bob, pick up your phone. And anyway, he might be in the middle of a commercial too. He might be coming up in the end of his commercial. We try to time this stuff. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if this keeps going, I'm going to get one of them stupid messages. Oh, okay. The call failed. Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway,
that's a stupid message.
Oh, anyway, are you there, Bob?
I sure am, John.
Oh, okay. I just got to. Okay, no problem. All right. Hey, given it's Monday, and it's just been just a really discombobulated weekend. So much stuff going on out there. I thought I'd let you tell us what's on your mind today. What's on your plate? Oh, we lost him.
Bob.
Okay. Well,
he was there.
okay.
I heard him.
Well, let's see if he gets back here. Well, let's just see if he tries to call back here. All right. Well, while we're waiting to see whether he calls back or not, let's touch on this thing here. I caught this article last week, and I almost made a big deal about it on the show Friday, but didn't. I just kind of held off because, the way the news cycle is now, I could probably just, if I really wanted to, I could probably not do anything in terms of research and spend the whole show just picking up on what's going on at the moment we come on the air. But that's not cool because, then we're second guessing, and sometimes you can say stupid stuff, not knowing all the details and everything else.
Yeah, there's all that fake news out there, John. There's just everything fake,
Yeah. So, but here's the deal. And while we're talking here, I'm going to try to get Bob back on the line here, see if he picks up here. This really, one of those things that really should incense all of us here. And that is this news. I picked this up off of PJ Media, written by Michael Walsh.
Hey, John. I'm here, John.
Okay. All right. No problem. Okay. Here's the deal. PJ Media, last week, December 2nd, 2016, the government suspended naturalization ceremonies and banned officers from approving any new applications for citizenship earlier this week, that's last week, after realizing its background check system was broken and ineligible people may have been slipping through, a key congressman revealed Friday. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, whose office was tipped off to the monumental error, said he was stunned by the problem and also by the fact that the administration never bothered to inform him on it.
Well, and does that surprise you now, John?
Well, I you know what surprises me, that we're a month and a half out of Barack Obama vacating the White House, and all of a sudden it's revealed to us that this great vetting system that we've been told by the left exists hasn't been working at all.
You know what? It's typical of what's going on over there. They just don't they're not going to tell us the truth about anything. And you know what's really going to happen? Once there's this transition, once Trump gets into the White House, I'll tell you what, this is not a secret keeper. This guy's going to let everybody know all the BS that's been going on in Washington, D.C., in the White House itself.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, all the noise, all the rancor, all the name calling, all the labeling of bigots and racists and haters and xenophobes and deplorables and unredeemables and everything that's been thrown at Trump about, hey, we need to stop people from coming into the country till we find out who we are. And all this talk about bringing in Syrian refugees and we've got everything under control and we know what's going on here. And now we find out, we haven't had a blunder this bad since Obama started his Obamacare website.
So you said there's no vetting process going on here, John? John, are you kidding me? Come on. John, we had a Somalian refugee that left Somalia, went to Pakistan for 7 years, went to the Dallas Christian Charities, was there for 20-some days, and him and his family are allowed to go to Columbus, Ohio, and he became an instant student, able to go ahead and love ISIS and then start to run down his fellow students and try to kill them with a butcher knife. Are you saying that they would have caught him with a vetting process?
Well, I guess, here's the point. How did he get it without a background check? I mean, that's basically...
Bob, you got the answer to this. You're a smart guy. Tell us, Bob.
It was really simple because they wanted us to know how efficient they were, and they just let us know that they did their background check and that he passed everything, even though they hadn't been able to accomplish anything.
I remember, Joe, we did it on the show here. We went through the questionnaire, the questionnaire that these people are given when they apply for citizenship. And it's basically one of these questionnaires where you have to be honest, and they tell you if you're not honest, we're going to prosecute you.
Here, John, here's the question. Do you believe in magic? Yes, I believe in magic. Well, poof, you're now a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, but the questions are, have you ever been a part of a terrorist organization? Okay.
No, my name's not Muhammad.
I remember we laughed at that thing.
You guys are talking about the wrong things. What you ought to be talking about today is the genius of Donald Trump. Everybody has been just absolutely driving him down the tubes. Everybody's been castigating him. Everybody's been saying what a horrible transition this is. One of the smoothest transitions in history, certainly over the last 11 presidents. And not only that, the man is really smart. He's bringing in people that nobody approves of, including himself, because he wants to get an alternate point of view so he can make a decision and not make a mistake. He's doing a fantastic job in filling the seats on his cabinet and the underseats of his cabinet, and nobody's talking about it.
Oh yeah, wait, we're going to get to that. I thought it was noteworthy that one of the biggest attacks against Donald Trump during the campaign was his statement that we shouldn't let people in the country till we can find out where they came from. And that was the basis for all the hatred and all the racist banter and all the xenophobe and everything else. And we find out Trump probably didn't even know the system was broken, but he got it right.
Well, yeah, but isn't it very much the same thing as the Obamacare, John? That everybody thought it was great and everybody thought it was going to be terrific, except for the conservatives. And now all of a sudden they find out the premiums are going up 35%, 40%. It's even going to be worse than that. And that if it weren't for this change in government, that they'd probably bankrupt all of the entitlements.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And Obama was out there last week telling everybody, don't worry about the fact that's a failure. Sign up for it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and I know the thinking. What the thinking is if they can get more people to sign up for this thing, it's going to be harder for the Republicans to try to repeal it. That's the argument. That's the socialist mentality. Let's get everybody hooked on it. Let's get everybody dependent on it. And it can be the biggest conglomeration of crap in the world, but everybody will go along with it because we're afraid of losing all the crap.
Well, that's
you know what? You know the surprise that's going to be out there for everybody is I'll bet you that this is going to happen really fast. You're going to watch the repeal of Obamacare and a replacement program put in within this first 100 days of Trump being in office. I think he's got a plan already there. I think that him and Paul Ryan have already gone through all the nitty-gritty and everything else that's going on. They're just waiting until January the 20th, and they're going to start moving things like a locomotive.
Well, that's where Price, as the nominee for that position, is going to work out very well, because Dr. Price has already had a plan in place to take care of Obamacare since it was implemented.
Well, even before it was implemented.
But the Republican leadership would never ever broadcast about it.
Yeah. Well, I believe that what Price had. He had it all put together before Obamacare was voted on. He was offering it as the alternative, and nobody wanted to talk about it because they didn't want to be branded racist for going against, America's first half-white president. So anyway, we got to go to our break here. We got to go to our break, and when we get back here, we'll continue our conversation with Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
America the Beautiful. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net. Exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live with us. He streams live Monday through Friday, actually the same time we do. But, you know, it is what it is. And you can go to his website, robertcardosolive.com, and you can pick up all the information you need about his times. And you can catch some of his archives out there, too, I believe, and kind of get a taste of what his show is about. So, Bob, you were talking earlier about we need to be talking about this great transition of Trump. We had actually... We'd actually mentioned at the beginning of the show that the media, they were out for a couple of days talking about how discombobulated the transition was, and all of a sudden we find out that this guy's got one of the smoothest transitions and fastest transitions, I think, since Reagan. I think that's been the barrier or the marker that they're using. So, I off the top of my head here,
Ben Carson.
Well, I got to tell you, John. This morning, and it's interesting. I was channel surfing, going through all the different media networks and things, listening to what the attitudes were, and you're starting to see a change. You're starting to see a switch. Even the pundits, because none of them know what the hell's going on. They don't know anything anyway. And the truth is that all of a sudden now they're all starting to kind of pull into the fold a little bit. They're still a little skeptical about Trump, and they're still going to make accusations, but they're not as hardline as they were before, and they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. And I know you were just getting ready to talk about Ben Carson. I do have a bit of a problem with Ben Carson, and that is, and I am a change supporter, right? But I don't understand how an infant neurosurgeon fits into HUD.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, what did he pick this guy for that? I think we talked about during the campaign that Carson might be somebody that would be good for the HHS, but Tom Price obviously is the smarter pick. But I'm like, what do you need a neurosurgeon? What are you going to do with HUD? Unless maybe the thought is, because I'm wondering, this is just speculation on my part, that maybe HUD might be one of those agencies that he put somebody in position there to shut it down.
Well, you know what? And that could be, because you know what? He is not an advocate of HUD, never has been an advocate of HUD. And he was, at the very beginning during his campaign, had even made noises about eliminating HUD. So maybe you're right. You might be right on the money there.
Yeah, what do you think, Joe?
I amen to that, because you know what? I think some of these people do need to be hired with the explicit intent to shut it down.
Yeah, I think that one of the ones I'm hearing right now, Sarah Palin for the Energy Department, and I remember. And
well, yeah, all she's got to do is open her mouth, and enough hot air will come out of there to grow.
Well, yeah, but again, we have to remember that Sarah Palin during the campaign said something along the effects of, "Put me in charge of the Energy Department, and I'll shut it down."
Yeah, well, think about this, guys. What are your conservative beliefs? Isn't it to really get rid of big government? Isn't that exactly what would happen if they shut down HUD, they shut down Department of Energy, they shut some of these things down? Isn't that accomplishing a conservative platform?
Oh, exactly. I'm all for it. I'd be great. I'd love them to see shut down the Energy Department, the EPA, the Department of Education. I'd like to see him privatize the post office.
Yeah, get rid of the IRS.
Yeah, get rid of the IRS.
Thing to get rid of the IRS, but the one thing that I'm scared of is like old Herman Cain's 999 plan could become 25-25-25.
I hear that too.
Well, here's my if I can, let me offer my opinion on that. Okay, this is my thinking. If we were to shut down some of these bureaucracies, let's take the Department of Education, for instance.
Please, take that.
Okay, we shut down the Department of Education. And what we do is we say to the states, okay, we're no longer going to collect or apply or delegate money from income taxes to the Department of Education. Therefore, we're going to reduce taxes by that much and let the states, if they choose to, tax their residents and build their education from within the state. See, I think any department that's eliminated, any bureaucracy that's eliminated.
What they've got to do there, John, is to reduce the subventions in the same amount, proportionately that each state pays. California does not get back anywhere near what it puts into federal subsidies. Now, if they were to get rid of that portion of the education, the part of education, and bring it back to California, California shouldn't have to pay that part in the subventions to the federal government.
Exactly. Well, that's the trickle down effect is if you eliminate the department, then you're eliminating the subsidies. And that means you're eliminating the need to take the revenue to begin with. That gives more money to the people living in the respective states, and the states can handle it from their end. And, out here in California, we just put 10 more bond measures on the ballot, and, you raise your taxes that way.
The scary thing about California, just to get away from federal for a minute and talk about the state for a second, you've got Jerry Brown talking about taxing farmers for cows' flatulence.
Yeah, well, if there's any cow flatulence, it's up there in Capitol.
Bob, who's going to go out there and measure cow farts?
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, that's the most. First of all, California used to be the largest agricultural state in the United States. It was. And it was like the 8th economy in the world, or 5th at one time. And now all of a sudden they want to.
World.
So what's going to happen? They're going to get rid of beef. They're going to get rid of milk. They're going to get rid of. And what's that going to do to the farmers out there that are growing grain and silage and all the rest of this stuff?
They're going to turn them all. No, I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to turn them into state-subsidized cannabis farms.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what they're going to do. And all the rest of the industry for those of us that don't smoke is going to wind up going to some other state.
Well, we'll just end up being able, Hollywood will have their straight supply line from the cannabis farms. That'll be great.
Yeah, their product. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? The one good part there, though, is if you're a driver and you like driving up and down the state, with all the forest fires we have, can you imagine what a great gay time you could have just driving up and down the state during those fires?
Well, I know one thing. If it happened during the wintertime when the Fraser overpass, everybody would be cool with that,
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about the smoke, inhaling the smoke from the fires, right?
Yeah, everybody pull their car off the side of the road and let's party, man. Break out the munchies, okay.
Yes, that would be enough incentive that Joe Hakos would actually fly out here to Southern California for a visit?
No, I don't think so. That's not going to happen. But like I just said, all the bears will be out looking for picnic baskets.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
If I can, though, on a more serious note here, we got about 3 minutes left here with Bob. And I think Bob and I breached the subject on Friday. I don't want to go back to the Secretary of State thing right now. Let's see how that plays out. But if I have any real concerns right now, and I mentioned this on Friday, the real concern I have right now is electing Elaine Chao as Transportation Secretary just because she's married to Mitch McConnell. And I'm just wondering what the hell that is about. What do you think, Bob?
Oh, you know what? I think it's the same thing we talked about before. It's about controversy. The one thing that Donald Trump said that he really wanted to do was to rebuild the infrastructure of the United States. Well, Chao is not going to be the person to do it. That's going to be the argument on the other side. But Chao might be the avenue to get Senate approval using McConnell. If anybody can make him do something, it's got to be his wife.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think so. Because if she dries up, and I just use that term figuratively.
I was going to say, boy, that wasn't much of a stretch.
Well, the money, the bank account. It may be a joint bank account, but I guarantee you, most of the money's hers. Okay. So, So anyway, we'll see how that plays out here. Anyway, Bob, we're out of time here. I wanted to give you the time to plug your show.
Okay. Hey, guys, thank you so much. I enjoy these semi-weekly simulcasts very, very much. You folks your listeners can go to my website, robertcarozalive.com, find out all my hours and all the things that are going on. But even more important than that, you know what? Go to their smart app department and search Robert Cardozo Live. Download my app. It's absolutely free. Then they can listen to my show 24/7 or live if they want to do it while we're doing it live. But obviously we don't want to interfere with John's show. So that allows you to listen to my show right after John's show or just before it, either way you want to do it. We're on Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 Pacific time. Hey, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
All right. You take care, my friend. Have a good one. All right, guys. We're coming up on the top of the hour here. And we're going to go to the Edwards Notebook, pay some bills, and then when we get back, we should have Scott Faulkner checking in with us. He's the author of the best-selling book, Naked Emperors. Very interesting book, very interesting and rather prophetic stance on the Republican Party. He wrote this back in 2006. Before everything was revealed in the last election cycle. Anyway, we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
America the Beautiful is already benefiting from the Trump effect. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, after 8 dark years of economic misery, the United States economy is starting to show visible signs of life. Pro-American Donald Trump is still waiting in the wings before stepping into his elected role as President of these United States. But amazingly, he already has done more before taking the oath of office to invigorate the U.S. economy than outgoing progressive President Obama did over the past 80 years as the leader from behind president. Because Donald Trump took the time to reach out to Bill Ford, the Ford Motor Company has modified plans to ship auto production to Mexico, and thus jobs will be spared in Michigan. Air conditioning manufacturer Carrier of Indiana will now not be pulling up stakes and moving their headquarters to Mexico. With the promise of reducing America's burdensome corporate tax rate and abusive regulations, the legendary U.S. economy is once again poised to take off. By God's grace, good days are dawning upon our republic.
Happy days are here again.
Don't blow it this time, America. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back. We're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, Hour 2. We're glad to have you with us today and hope you enjoyed our first hour. We have even more lined up for you here, our second hour here. We've got Scott Faulkner, author of the book Naked Emperors, and quite a resume in terms of dealing with past administrations as basically a member of the transition team. He worked with the transition team during the Ronald Reagan, George Bush administration, and I thought it appropriate to bring him on and talk about the transition of Donald Trump and polls. He's very knowledgeable about polls, something we've been talking about here. And I was just, he basically was mirroring everything in some articles that he wrote that Joe and I have been talking about, for at least the last 2 or 3 months in terms of how polls work and don't work and how they're being manufactured and slanted and skewed and everything else here. But before we get into that, this is our short segment here, and I've got a topic here I'd like to talk about just for a few minutes here, because it's just I don't know what it is about the left, that they just seem oblivious to the hypocrisy that they have whenever when they're out there ranting and raving about things that are taking place, and how everything that the right wants to do is for the purpose of oppressing and limiting and all this other stuff. But boy, as soon as one of the things I'm just getting a kick out of is how the left is talking about how Donald Trump is going to tear up the Constitution. I'm thinking, yeah, right, okay, we never heard any of that during the Obama administration. But here's the deal. Later on this week, we're going to get back to our discussion on the Electoral College. And I had floated the idea that one of the things the left may try to do is not so much try to destroy the Electoral College as it stands right now, but to kind of reform it and maybe use districts in place of electors coming out of districts. And I mentioned about how the gerrymandering would then work in their favor if they can somehow use the districts as electoral voters, and then everything based on population. We know that the districts are being drawn up in many states, like out here in California, to favor the Democrats or favor the left, so they have more districts, and that's how they get a lock on the legislature out here in California. Well, the Supreme Court is getting ready to hear a case about the use of race by the Republicans in redistricting. And the argument from the left is that what they're doing, what the Republicans want to do, is they want to bunch minorities into districts to leave other districts white, like the color white or the non-color white, however you want to look at it. It says here that the Supreme Court is returning to a familiar intersection of race and politics in a pair of cases examining redistricting in North Carolina and Virginia. The 8 Justice Court is hearing arguments Monday, that's today, in 2 cases that deal with the same basic issue of whether race played too large a role in the drawing of electoral districts to the detriment of African Americans. The claim made by the black voters in both states is the Republicans packed districts with more reliably Democratic black voters than necessary to elect the preferred candidates, making neighboring districts whiter and more Republican. So what they're claiming here is that the Republicans are using redistricting, I guess, to group black voters together and therefore limit the number of districts that are out there so that they can keep their districts, or they can keep hold on legislators in the state, and of course, how that trickles down into the national election scene and stuff like that. I just find it just tremendously hypocritical that these people are constantly trying to redraw districts. They get too many of one minority or another in a district, and they say, "Oh, we got to divide that district up," and therefore you get another congressional district, and you get a lock on the state legislators. And now they're accusing the Republicans of basically doing the same thing on the opposite way. What do you think, Joe?
It's yes, it's more the same. In fact, they even take the states to court to say, these are not fair. You don't have enough minorities in this gerrymandered, redistricted House drawn out. You don't have enough minorities in there. So we're taking you to court to battle that because we want more minorities in this. And it's just like, really? You're saying the Republicans are doing this, but you did it for years. Republicans are doing it for years. And now it's like, since you're not in power, you're going to gripe and complain. And the minute the tables are turned, and it's the Republicans' turn to do the same exact thing. It's like, really? Yeah. It's like so much to do about nothing, and the hypocrisy is just oozes out like stuffing on the turkey.
Yeah, but it's one step closer to trying to undermine the concept of a republic and replace it with a democracy. That's my point.
That's all their stuff is right now, is to undermine Donald Trump's election right now, to make it invalid, to make it just worthless. That's all they're trying to do right now.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Absolutely. We got to go to our break. When we come back, we should have Scott Faulkner checking with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
You'll get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And as we're talking here, I'm going to have to try to contact Scott here. I don't know, maybe he misunderstood the call-in instructions and thinks that I'm supposed to call him. So we'll see what's going on here. Let's see if we can get him added to our call here. And Scott's got a very, very interesting resume here, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. Oh, it's busy. Okay. Maybe he's trying to call us. Well, we'll see. Oh, there he is. There he is. Oh, see, I knew that was going to happen. He's coming in here, and I can't add him to the call. Damn it, we tested this thing earlier in the day here. So let's do this. Let me see if I can get him hooked up here. Let's see here. Yada. One of these days I'll figure out what the hell's wrong with my Skype. Oh, man, I'll tell you, this thing is just driving me nuts. Scott, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Great. Outstanding. We have with us Scott Faulkner, the author of the best-selling book Naked Emperors. You know, I didn't mention that when we talked earlier, Scott, but I was aware of that. The failure of the Republican Revolution. I want to kind of give you guys a background here of Scott Faulkner here. I'm totally impressed with this guy. He currently advises corporations throughout the world on strategic change and leadership, and his articles on leadership, management reform, and global competitiveness have been published in the New York Times, the New York Daily News. You got a cold there?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Political, Roll Call, the Washington Examiner, the Washington Times, and various business publications. He's appeared on ABC, Australia, Al Hurra, Bloomberg, CBS News, CNN, C-SPAN, Fox, NPR, PBS, Voice of America, and numerous talk radio programs, of which we are now one of them. But here's the thing that caught my eye about Scott. He was elected as the first chief administrator officer of the U.S. House of Representatives. He oversaw a $1 billion annual budget. And let's see what else here. He says his business-based reforms rebuilt the integrity of the House. Operations became a model for operation of 44 national parliaments around the world and was named one of the top 100 innovations in American government by the Ford Foundation and Harvard University. He was also National Director of Personnel for the Reagan-Bush campaign in 1980, went on to serve in the transition team and on the White House staff. And he's held positions in the Federal Aviation Administration, General Services Administration, and Peace Corps country director in Malawi, Africa. That must have been fun. So quite a resume there, my friend.
Thank you. I just always answer the phone, and I get lots of interesting offers.
Well, if we can, I didn't brief you, or I didn't ask you this when I told you what we were going to talk about. Your book, Naked Emperors.
Yes.
You wrote what I found significant about this, just reading the write-up on the book, is that you wrote this in 2006,
And this was just before the rest of the world found out the Republican Party was all smoke and mirrors, that they're all talk and no actions. Actually, you wrote it before the term rhino became popular. And
that is correct.
How did you catch that?
Well, I lived it. Sorry, I lived it. That as when I became the first chief administrative officer of the House, Gingrich had just had his contract with America. Congress just changed hands for the first time in over 40 some odd years from Democrat to Republican. And everyone thought there'd be a revolution. Everyone thought that Republicans would, now taking the House, would finally turn the world upside down in a good way. And the pettiness, the ego, the turf fights were overwhelmed it. And so the book is really a blow-by-blow of my 2-year tenure as CAO, showing how what should have been a fantastic historic revolution similar to the Reagan Revolution, in fact, a lot of us thought it'd be a phase 2, collapsed within months into petty bickering and turf fights and all sorts of other things.
Now, along with that, I want to kind of get a little bit direct about this. How much did Gingrich play into that?
Quite a bit, because he was having an affair with his now current wife. He was basically cheating on his second wife, and a couple Republicans knew about it. A lot of us didn't know about it till the fall of '96, but the summer of '95, a number of Republicans who did not want anything changed in the House knew about it, and they blackmailed him.
Ah, that makes so much sense. See, I wasn't even aware of that. I knew he had cheated on his wife. I didn't know that was happening while he was the Speaker of the House. That changes everything, and that's something that we see a lot, and we've thought about a lot and entertained on this show about certain people in positions of leadership. I know one that I think about often is Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. That they got some kind of dirt on this guy, because I don't know what happened to him once he became a Supreme Court justice. He just changed, and I could only help it, maybe dirt on him or somebody in his family or whatever. But so that explains the whole lot. Wow. What's your take on that, Joe? You got something to add to that? That's amazing.
It's funny that it's like that, and it's even excuse me. It's even. It's probably even worse than Scott even probably knows. It's probably even worse than we could ever imagine.
Yeah, and so none of this really. So when you say petty bickering and the blackmailing, that means basically that people are just using his affair to get what they want, and that is what you're saying kind of caused the contract with America to implode.
Well, part of it is that there was a large faction within the Republican Party. These were the older members that had been around for a while, that literally during the transition, December 1994, they said, "We've watched the Democrats rob the place blind for over 40 years. Now it's our turn." So they were not buying into revolution or change in any way, shape, or manner. And so it took people like Boehner, who, of course, ended up being different now, but back in the 90s, he was a young revolutionary, and people like Nussel, and older members who were revolutionaries like Ron Packard of California, who said, "Hey, we want something to happen." He had a lot of heroes. He had Walker, Pennsylvania, had Solomon, who was from New York and a longtime Reaganite who ended up as head of the Rules Committee. You had some really great people who stood up and said, "The voters spoke. We want change," and those are the people who gave me the air cover to ultimately implement 75 strategic reforms to House operations, cutting my operation in half in terms of personnel and saving $186 million a year, which literally to this day is still being saved because every one of those 75 reforms remained in place to this day.
Wow.
Scott, any parallels to what's happening today with what happened back then?
Absolutely. You have another great revolution. You have people who want a swamp drained, and we know that there's an awful lot of people in Washington who oppose Trump who don't want the swamp drained. And so, just like with the Reagan transition of 1980, you're going to see people emerging and issues emerging from this transition period and in the first 100 days to 6 months of the Trump administration to really see if he's serious. Of course, those of us who supported Trump from the beginning are hoping he's serious. And just like with Reagan in 80, major changes can occur if a president stays true to his word and has the intestinal fortitude to stand up to the powers that be, and brings in people who are willing to do the tactical and frontline strategic fights to further that agenda.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we've been discussing on this show, and we were speculating because we can only really speculate at this point. But everybody, I think a lot of people in the Republican Party, or let's say not Republican Party, let's say a lot of people that supported Trump, kind of hold him in the same light that people held Barack Obama. Kind of a messiah type is going to come and turn everything around and make everything work. And one of the things we've speculated on this show is whether or not what kind of resistance can Trump expect from an establishment Congress like what we have today.
Well, they can certainly delay things. They can amend things. They can hold hearings till hell freezes over. And so the question is one, are people in the Republican Party, in the establishment, but also certainly in the Congress now, are they do they want the end point that Trump wants? And then more importantly, do they have the same sense of urgency to get to that end point? Because that was the big problem between Bush and Reagan in 1980. The Bush people wanted the same endpoint. They'd like to have the Soviet Union go away, just like the Reagan people did. But they were willing to wait another 100 years, and Reagan wanted it done in the 1980s. And so that sense of urgency was a key component. So we'll see what happens this time around.
Yeah, well, when you think about the fact that you have people like Mitch McConnell who are out there basically echoing the establishment mantra that the people really don't want change. They really don't want the swamp drained. He came out last week and said, yeah, the regular people really don't want everything that Trump is saying here. And I don't think anything could be farther from the truth, given the fact of just the way Trump came into existence, how he rose to the top of the heap, the increase in Republican Party members, just so they could vote for Donald Trump, not for any other reason, and all this. So I'm kind of wondering if that's. I just expect a lot of resistance out of the likes of people like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and Lamar Alexander and all these establishment types, John McCain, and I don't know how Trump is going to overcome that. Using Twitter,
Well, he overcame quite a bit earlier through the last 18 months plus just using Twitter, so it's a powerful tool.
Oh, there's no argument with that. I'm wondering, because these establishment people, I think, they were exposed to a degree they've never been exposed before. Anybody's got the IQ of seaweed now knows that these people are. They are the people that run the show because they're the ones that have the money, and a lot of people don't. I mean, we found exposed during this election cycle many of the backroom players. You got the Mitt Romneys and all the other people out there, but they're in the public eye. But the establishment really exists outside and behind the scenes, and I'm wondering how Trump is going to overcome the money, because that's really that's really where the opposition is going to come from. It's going to come from the money, don't you think?
Well, sure. I mean, there's a lot. I remember back again in the 94 cycle where I had longtime friends, some of whom served in the Reagan administration, and they would come in and say, is this revolution going to be real? And at the time I said, absolutely. And they got crestfallen. They said, oh, my God, that's going to hurt my clients. And so that trying to make people rise above themselves and think about the country first and the future of this country first is going to be a huge cultural shift. But if anyone can do it, Trump can, because he can go to the radio, he can go to the TV, he can go to Twitter and any other social media. He can command the stage. He can hold a 30,000 person rally with only 2 days organizing notice and call people out, just like he did the media. And I think he will go to that length for the things that he feels are important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Joe, we got about a minute and a half here left. You got a question for Scott?
Yeah, Scott, I would think the first 100 days is probably the best opportunity for Donald Trump to do this. So do you see that happening right away? And if it doesn't happen right away, how long do you think it might last? Because it will have all the momentum going right in, but then it's slowly going to deteriorate. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, time is always the enemy of revolution. You have to strike fast. I mean, the establishment that we're certainly seeing on the airways as well as in Washington, they got like a taser blast to the heart. I mean, they're sitting there still stunned, and at some point they're going to come out of that. And so Trump needs to move fast so that taser blast stun it works in his favor.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because they are gonna. I'm sure somebody somewhere is regrouping, going, okay, we got to stop this somehow, make it look like it's all Trump's fault, but we're the ones that have to do that. We got to go to our break here. We've got Scott Wachner, author of the book Naked Emperors, and I could spend another 2 minutes rereading his resume here, but we got to go to break, pay some bills. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got Scott Faulkner, author of the book Naked Emperors, with us today, and we're talking about the Trump transition team right now. Joe, you had a question for Scott. Joe, you there? Okay, maybe Joe had to make a go powder his nose there. Bathroom break. The question we had: what are you seeing, and what are you thinking about Trump's picks so far for the cabinet?
I think they're wonderful. I mean, certainly, who can not be for a person named Mad Dog? We've got some really good people. Department of Education, Betty DeVos. We all know public education has been in a tailspin for at least a generation or more, and to be able to have someone in there who's going to bring in school choice, bring in a parental role, and hopefully vouchers and some other and charter schools, that could go in some great directions. Jeff Sessions is going to be outstanding as Attorney General. I mean, that's a swamp that needs to be drained early and often. You've got, of course, Ben Carson now being picked for HUD. Trump campaigned about doing something about the inner cities. We know the inner cities have, in many cases, for over 100 years, been dominated by a Democrat mayor and a Democrat town or city council, and they've all basically melted down into to war zones. And something's got to be done about it. And hopefully, someone with the intellectual capacity of Ben Carson will bring something to the table there and make something really happen. We've got, when you start to look at Treasury, you got some people who really understand how the economy works, and Steve Mnuchin, and then Ross over at Commerce. I mean, you've got some really high-powered people who understand how the economy functions, not just in America but in the world, and that's the kind of brain trust that being from the business sector, Trump can bring to the table, and it's starting to show.
Scott, do you see Comey staying on as FBI director?
Well, he's a term appointment.
Yeah.
So, which means an FBI director is there for 10 years as a term, and so I do not know off the top of my head when his term of office comes up. I think he was reappointed only like 4 or 5 years ago. So, unless he was somehow forced to resign, a president cannot fire him except for direct cause, and so that would be be something to look at. I mean, Comey's probably sitting there realizing that he screwed up on about every front imaginable this last year. And, how does he want to play that out? I don't know.
Well, let's put a scenario here before you, because one of Trump's campaign promises was that he was going to lock Hillary Clinton up, and he has backed off of that. And I'm assuming, I'm hoping anyway, let me put it this way, that perhaps James Comey might have a chance to redeem himself if somebody in Congress says, hey, you know what, Donald Trump isn't going to prosecute you, but we are. And, I'm hoping that's what Trump is doing, is let's just delegate that to Congress or some other bureaucracy, maybe to the Attorney General, not him directly, coming out there. And he can't do it anyway. But it's just I'm hoping that's what happens. But getting back here, I want to play a little bit of the devil's advocate with you. We were just talking the last hour about Ben Carson's appointment to HUD, trying to figure out what a neurosurgeon is going to do in a bureaucracy like that. And we were kind of speculating, playing with the idea that maybe somebody like Ben Carson's been put in that position for the purpose of closing HUD down.
Well, HUD is certainly one of literally a half dozen or more departments that should go away. And hopefully Trump will look aggressively at shutting down pretty much all the departments that got created from Eisenhower onward, because not a one of them have lived up to their promise, and almost all of them have doubled, quadrupled, even tenfold increased the operating overhead for programs that were brought under their umbrella. Yeah, you need to remember that a cabinet secretary is usually the policy advocate. That's the person who's going to be the face of that department, the face of the policies relating to that department, the person up on the Hill, the person on the Sunday talk shows, and then the deputy secretary is like the chief operating officer, the person who actually makes things happen. Okay. So the question is, with Carson's, he's a very articulate, intelligent man. He's got a great background. He can be the one that talks about shutting down that department, talks about doing something different in the inner cities that hopefully is more private sector than government oriented. And if he finds a good deputy who's actually turning out the lights one by one while he's roaming the country speaking, that would be the best pairing possible.
Yeah, we were talking about one of the things that happened during the campaign. I believe was Sarah Palin had said, put her in charge of the energy department and she would abolish it. She would take it apart. And I'm kind of wondering if just an outside chance here that maybe that's what Trump has in mind, taking some of these bureaucracies and actually eliminating them. Now, if we can get into, there's two choices out there, one that has been made and one that is still being examined here. Elaine Chao as a transportation secretary. I have a real problem with that because of her relationship with Mitch McConnell. And,
well, she's the wife.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get any more insider than that, that kind of thing. Do you think that that's kind of an olive branch being offered to Mitch McConnell?
Sure. Well, she does have some background. She was the chairman of the Federal Maritime Commission under the last part of Reagan and into Bush 1. So she does have some transportation background, at least in that piece of that puzzle. She, of course, was Secretary of Labor under Bush 2. So be interesting to see what ultimately happens there. I mean, one of the things that one would like to see occur throughout the government, but hopefully someone like Chao could do in transportation. You might remember the Beck decision from the late 1980s, which was about that a union member could not be coerced to fund union campaign activities. He or she could only be forced through their dues to fund legitimate operational expenses and administration expenses of the union. And so that has never been fully implemented or enforced by any administration, Republican or Democrat, since the Supreme Court. It was almost a unanimous verdict. I mean, that was surprising back then, but it was a total freedom of speech issue, and also a Fourth Amendment issue dealing with taking without due process. And so I'd love to see Chao, with her labor background, take that to not only the department itself and the unions there, but to all the contractors who have union work that are working on all the infrastructure projects under transportation. That would be a huge impact.
But do you think that establishment people really want the unions, split up like that?
Well, it doesn't split them up. It basically forces them to actually make the argument to their members that their campaign war chest is as important as the union dues part of what they're paying. And I don't think they can make that much of a case. So it would be a fantastic thing to bring forward. Now, how much of the establishment wants to disrupt union political pressure? I would hope they're on the Republican side that they would.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen here. But my inkling is I've got kind of a gut check with her. I mean, it's like the appointment so far that I really have a problem with just because of the ties to McConnell. I don't trust that guy anymore, and I trust Harry Reid. And but the idea of her ties to China, I understand her father actually was a classmate with the former president of China. Do you think that Trump might be using her connection to try to handle some of the issues that we have with China in terms of devaluing their currency and all that other good stuff?
Hopefully, Trump has said some great things today in defense of his speaking with the president of Taiwan. And so hopefully this is signaling that he's going to have a much broader and more aggressive strategy toward China than we've seen in quite a few years. Even under Republicans, we tended to get weak at the knees in front of China.
Yeah. I'm just, you brought up some good points there. I don't know. I'm very tepid about bringing establishment people into the inner circle, which I want to talk to you about the Holy Grail here when we get back from our break. We got to go to break here. Mitt Romney as Secretary of State. This one's got me. I'm just don't know what to think about this. We've got Scott Faulkner with us, author of the book Naked Emperors. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, folks, right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net. Exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. Just want a quick note here. Encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, if you want to pick up archive of this show or any of our shows. Find out what our show is about, the people on our panel, why we do what we do. theconservativesyndicate.net. You might want to re-listen to this one. This is a very educational show for us today. Scott Faulkner, author of the book Naked Emperors, also served on the transition team of the Reagan-Bush administration. That's what we wanted to ask you next here. What do you think in terms of the transition of Donald Trump right now? Do you think it's going well? Do you think it's ahead of schedule? Do you think it's behind schedule? How do you see this?
It's actually quite far ahead of schedule. I mean, people need to remember back in, again, 1980, it wasn't until December 10th that Reagan picked a lot of his cabinet, including Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense at that time. And so when people are sitting there going, tick-tock, look at the watch, my goodness, it's already the 1st of December, Reagan didn't do anything major. He didn't even name even one person into his cabinet till December 10th. And then on top of that, it's the Trump transition is tracking very similar to Reagan. What you have right now are teams going out to each agency and doing what I call the ultimate scavenger hunt. They're collecting information on what's currently happening in the federal government. This is everything from contracts to treaties, lawsuits that might be roaming through the courts, regulations that are in draft form, all sorts of things that are in motion, because when Trump takes over at noon on January 20th, everything becomes his, and he better know if the government is taking someone to court somewhere, or there's a regulation that's already been published in the Federal Register that's under 60 days of public comment, or there's a treaty being negotiated dealing with fishing in the Bering Strait. And so these are, I mean, we're talking literally thousands and thousands of little things that add up, promotions, hiring, adverse action cases against people, again, contracts of every sort, procurements of every sort. And so he's got to have people, about 4,000 appointees, ready to go literally that weekend after the inaugural to go into the agencies and shut down everything that possibly can be shut down relating to the Obama agenda, and move forward with things that are part of the Trump agenda. Now, again, there could be some minor things like, hypothetically, a bulk purchase card with staples so that government employees can buy pens and printer ink. Well, I mean, that's not ideological. It just needs to happen.
Right.
So you don't want to shut everything down. Certain things have to go forward like that. Maybe there is a fishing treaty under negotiation on the Bering Strait that actually is going to help Americans get more fish and crab off Alaska. Who knows? That's the who knows needs to be answered. And that's what the transition's all about. And the teams have been moving out into the agencies over the last couple of weeks. They're called landing teams. And they are asking those kind of questions methodically, and hopefully they're getting the right answers.
Oh, that's very well put. Now, before I ask you the real question here, the Holy Grail, I call it the Holy Grail, the situation with the executive orders, how easy is it going to be for him to undo all these executive orders that Obama put in place?
Literally as fast as he can sign the papers.
So that's really...
Again, if you remember when Reagan took office in January of 1981, he actually took time between his speech, inaugural address, and because they always have a traditional lunch in the statuary hall of the Capitol because the Congress actually oversees the actual inaugural, and they have a big lunch. And so he actually went to the lunch 15 minutes late because he went to a small room and signed like 50 executive orders canceling out the Carter administration and immediately starting up the Reagan administration. I could see Trump doing something very similar, and given the number of executive orders that Obama has done, many of which push way beyond the bounds of the Constitution, he could probably be an hour late to that lunch.
Or maybe he can use the robo-pen.
Right.
Yes.
Now on to the Holy Grail here. What in the hell is he thinking about putting? Why would he even consider somebody like Mitt Romney for state secretary?
Well, Romney kind of looks like Central Casting's answer to a Secretary of State. He's tall, he's dignified, he speaks well, but this is a person who got intimidated by Candy Crowley in the second debate with Obama. And so if he's that easily cowed by somebody who basically threw a body block to defend Obama on the Benghazi cover-up, and how could he stare down the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, or anybody else?
Well, my thought is, why would you put somebody who was so attached to the establishment in your inner circle? To me, it's like you're asking to be sabotaged.
Some people are trying to, use the Abraham Lincoln team of rivals thing, but you have to remember the four people that Lincoln put in his cabinet. Number one, they were all amazing people. Romney doesn't fit that category. Number two, the Republican Party was minuscule at that time, and you only had so many people to work with. Now it's much larger. We have a huge Trump coalition that he can draw from, plus his huge business base. Thankfully, there's like another half dozen people that were named as sort of the short list seems to keep growing on Secretary of State, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah. Joe had mentioned earlier that Romney may be nothing more than a head fake, and I think some of the people out in the media are saying that. You think that might be the case?
I think so. I think that in part it might be him trying to kind of humiliate Romney and say, come and grovel a couple times. And so that could be part of it as well, that this is an atonement issue.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what it is. You got something to say, Joe?
Well, it could be that thing where, it just shows these guys are just hacks. They'll come up and they'll grovel and just do anything to be part of the game. And, we'll just throw them this little bone out here and we'll get them come running, that kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it might be. I just think of all the really. I could have understood maybe looking at Jeb Bush before Mitt Romney. I mean, that's how much I just
But I'd like to give Mr. Trump a little more credit there. I think he's shown a lot of class going on, and I don't think he's out there to really embarrass anybody. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I kind of in my own mind, the axis of evil is Jeb Bush, John Kasich, and Mitt Romney. I'm just like, why would you pick out of any of these three? Why even entertain them at all? That just boggles me. Everything else he's been doing, I just find not only fascinating, but I think very, very productive. And one thing about Trump we can certainly understand is he's not doing anything by the books, and that's why nobody's figured out what he's doing. I love listening to the media try to fit everything within their standard template. And nothing ever fits. It's amazing to me, amazing. Well, Scott, we're up on the end of our time here, and I wanted to give you a few moments to promote whatever it is you need to promote.
I appreciate that. I write a blog, which is Citizen Oversight, which is about waste, fraud, and abuse, and about citizen empowerment, how you can stand up to the powers that be, even at the local level. And it's http://citizenoversight.blogspot.com. And we have quite a few people who are guest editorialists on that site as well. And again, whether you're fighting a town council or a county commission, or you're taking on the establishment and trying to drain the swamp in Washington, we provide some pretty good ideas and some best practices on how people can really beat the system.
Well, I'd really appreciate having you on here today, and I got an education. What about you, Joe?
I enjoyed Scott's insight on this because he's been there and he's seen this and actually done it. I like that, as opposed to these folks that you see on the television. They're just out there just going blathering on, and they've never done any of this before. So thanks, Scott. I really appreciate that insight.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, we certainly want to have you back. I hope we can get you back on here.
Would love to. This has been a lot of fun, and again, I hope your audience enjoyed hearing a little bit of history as well as a little bit of just what's happening now.
Okay, all right. I appreciate it, my friend. You have a good day, and God bless you.
Same to you. Have a great Christmas season.
Oh yes, you too. Okay, guys. We're ready to wrap it up here. Let's see. What? Any closing notes? Anything we got to throw out there, Joe? We got about 30 seconds here. About a minute. I'm sorry.
I just found it interesting, Scott. As opposed to what you hear is nothing but chaos in the Trump transition, blah blah blah. And even Scott says it's ahead of schedule. There's no chaos. You can't have chaos and be ahead of schedule. And just to listen to the media once again is just out there doing their thing, trying to just sabotage Trump's first term before it's even started. I mean, so they're not going to give up. Trump is not going to have an easy time of it. No. And as Scott said, the first days are when you have all the momentum and all the power and everything behind you. So don't hold back. Go swing for the fences. Get everything you can because, as he said, time is your enemy. The longer it goes, the more they can stand up and line up against you.
Okay, guys, we're done for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock out here on the left coast, 6 o'clock on the east coast. God bless you. Get a hold of our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.